All right, so we're going to finish up roughing. This is roughing part 2. Roughing part 2. So, weirdly enough, we're going to start roughing in. So if you don't have hair, then you don't need hair. But what we want to do today, one of the main things we want to do is get up all the big masses of clay onto the portrait so that the big masses of clay are all kind of drying together the same. Okay? This will dry out a little bit before we get to it again, and we don't want to add really wet clay to really dry clay because they shrink at different rates, and that would be hurtful to us. So, check it out. Before I add clay, what I want to do is kind of look at where I'm going. And I'm going to look at all of my views. And I can see here that like the edge of the hair is about there-ish. Right? And again, I'm not going to make the hair look perfect. I'm just thinking about it as a master. Okay? And then we're just going to go right across the forehead here. And I want to think about, just like everything else, the overall kind of contour of that hair. You can see how square my head is relative to the shape of the hair, so I'm going to make that up here. I can use my same ideas, right? Like I can say, okay, from the bangs all the way up to the top is about the same distance from what? What do I have? From the brow ridge to the mouth. So I should have hair that goes up that tall. You see what I mean? Right? I'm going to scoop this back just a hair. So I should have hair that goes up that tall. So I'm going to be adding quite a bit to the top. So it's not an arbitrary thing. Before you add the hair though, anywhere that you're going to add it, you need to take your needle tool and perforate the head. Okay? And that is all the way down to the armature. And that is so that we don't trap any air in between all the new clay we're adding and the clay that's been up there. So all your hard work, you get to now scatter. So any aggressions that you have or frustrations, now it's the time to take that out. Really perforate the goodness out of it. Remember how we do this, right? We take a chunk and we add it and stick it down in a chunk. And what I'm going for is I'm pushing this down only as far as that height that I want, right? So I'm not going to sit here and like mash that hair in. I'm just creating mass. And I'm trying to create the contour of the hair in the same way that I created the contour of the head. So the first thing I'm doing is just massing up a lot of clay. Sticking and wicking, right? I don't know what else to call it. I'm going to stick it in there, and I use the side of my thumb to push it relative to where I want it to be in space, and then I just stick an edge or two together to the other place. Okay? Do not, under any circumstances, create sheets or big shapes and stick them on them. Okay, you've got to do this piece at a time. If you create a big sheet and stick it on there, it will blow up. Okay? It just will. There's no way to get all that hair out. The other thing I want to say too is, don't get in a hurry. Do not get in a hurry to add lips, noses, eyeballs, all that kind of stuff. Okay? We're taking 2 days to do this roughing. We're taking like a lot of time to do this. This is the kind of thing, like I don't know if you look across the room, but your classmate over here has done this before, and she whipped that thing out in like 15 minutes, right? Got all the roughing done. And that's the way it works, right? I'm slowing down to show you the steps so you understand it all. But the next time you do it, this is like second nature. It becomes part of making your own. So don't get in a hurry. We have plenty of time. Take your time getting the forms and shapes correct, right? And don't worry about details. So that's what I mean is I'm not going to go in and like smooth this hair out and try to texture it and do those things, because the more I work it, the more I'm compacting it, the more I'm creating air bubbles, right? The idea is to stay real general and then get specific at the end. Okay? So, be patient. So what I'm thinking about now is, right, how is that hair shaped from the side? Well, it's pulled back a little bit, and it curves a little bit, right? And then sweeps back and up. So I've got that contour. Okay? How does it look like from the front? Right? Okay, so it kind of curves under the jaw a little bit and moves out in space. So I'm just finding, just like I found the shape of the skull, I'm finding like the big movement of the hair. And I'm just treating it as another form in space. Okay? Nothing more, nothing less. It's not hair, it's a form in space. So, in the end, once I have the overall kind of like hint of it where I want it, and the general mass, I can take one of my bigger knives and go back through and say, oh yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm going to bring that down just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to bring that just a little more square off the back. So I can go in and adjust those contours to make it look a lot like, yeah, see, that looks a lot more like that than a second ago. Right? And then the other thing I want to do is make sure that I know the difference between my hair and my face. Right? So it's robot hair. Okay? Robot hair.